to a fetishized attention, like just completely went from one thing to another, and you don't know where it went, where this connect happened, but you just realized there was admiration, and it just turned into that unwelcome fetishized attention. Kanisha, if you don't mind starting off for us real quick.
Um,
I don't really look at those questions right up until the last little bit, but I figure since they're fresh in your mind, it'd be a perfect time to ask you.
okay. So let's see. Um, have I ever had a moment where I witnessed admiration turn into a fetishized attention? Yes. I was let's see. Um, I didn't look at it that way. I'm just being friendly, and there was this one guy that actually started being like kind of weird, kind of creepy, and not to say too much, but this person actually ended up like coming back to my job, figuring out like trying to figure out if I was there. And I was just thinking, like they were cool, you know what I mean? But then it got awkward and it got weird, and it was like, hey, security, like this dude is starting to do this on social media. Like they started sending really weird and awkward things, like my location, like figuring out where I was. It was like, hold up, wait, like how you know, are you paying attention to where I'm at? Now you going from one social media to the next. And it was just very weird because I thought I was just being cool, and then it turned into a stalking. It was literally a stalking kind of thing, and it was definitely kind of creepy. It was kind of weird. um I think I handled it pretty well with the security I had at my job, and I think eventually it died down because it was just really creepy. Um, I feel like anybody can go through some weird, creepy, fetishy stuff, but sometimes it gets a little too much, and when it gets a little like overbearing and makes you feel kind of uneasy a little bit, that's when
Hmm.
it gets a little funky. And I'm trying not to say too much because I know a lot of people and stuff, and I just don't want it to seem, but I've definitely witnessed that, and it's been definitely kind of weird, like, like always liking my it's nothing wrong with, like, I'm a fan of social media, so it's nothing wrong with like liking my social media posts and stuff. But when you get kind of creepy, like always like commenting or like in my inbox, it was just weird. It was definitely awkward.
It was
Awkward.
the see that was the comments and everything.
Yeah, it was getting awkward, and then it got to a point where they were okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this. They got really close to home. They ended up moving really close to home, which was very weird too. So that was awkward in itself. Yeah, but they're
Okay.
gone now. They're gone now.
Oh well, thank God. Look at that. Things work out in all due time, all in due course.
Hmm.
Um, and so with the questions, it doesn't exactly have to be about you or you yourself. You have witnessed from the outside perspective also. So just keeping that in mind as we're going on. Lee, do you want to go ahead and chime in on a time where you witnessed admiration turn into a fetishized attention?
Yeah. So I've personally had to deal with some stuff as a dykey butch masculine woman. Um, I think that I'm from the South originally, and like I think that the worst thing that's ever happened to me is like you find men that are attracted to masculinity,
Mhm.
and they seek women like me out to bully and you know test and see how far they can push before it's inappropriate or a little too much. So it was very hard for me to have like I have I have more male friends than I have female friends. I identify more to the masculine side, but when you are hanging out with guys and then they hang out with guys, having those guys that are attracted to that masculinity and their confusion. they put a lot of that on me and make it my fault that they think this way. I always felt bad for women who couldn't wear short shorts or have a crop top on because men were like always chasing them or always being inappropriate. But then there are those guys that are in the closet about who they really are or who they should be, and they then fetishize and put their fetish on me that they can make me more feminine, or that I will take the masculine role with them
Mm.
in the bedroom, not understanding that I'm a lesbian and I don't want men, but still trying to put their shame and their burden on me and making it my fault that they feel this way. And but I mean, I'm comfortable with who I am, so it doesn't like it. When I was younger, it bothered me that maybe I was causing problems with people, but now I'm just like, no, that's their reality, not my identity. So
Well put. Well put. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that, Lee.
you're welcome.
Um, Michelle, ma'am, the madam, would
Well,
you have anything to share on?
well, it's funny, like when you first read fetish, you think of people who have like, shoe fetishes or foot fetishes, and they get off on certain things. But I was on a panel once with a woman who was of Asian descent, and she was telling me how that there were people who had a fetish about Asian women. And she was telling me how, they didn't see her as a person and what they were expecting. And I sort of got that, and it didn't hit home until I had someone who admitted to saying that they were stalking me online and seeing what they thought it was supposed to be. And then when I met them some point and they were doing something, they said, well, you're not behaving the way I think you should.
Hmm.
And when I talked and that was the same thing that this woman who I was on this panel with said. She said that people thought that there was a way, looking at her, that they had in their mind that someone of this, and like Lee said, if you're more masculine identifying, if you are Asian, if you are, I don't know what they thought I was, but anyhow, that they expected a certain behavior out of you. And that fantasy of that behavior was what they were getting off on. And, you can only be you. You can't make somebody happy by trying to fulfill their fantasy, and their fantasy isn't in reality. That's not you. You know, Lee, Kenesha, we're who we are. And if you have someone who has a fetish about that, like that, talk about a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag. If you talk to me about, oh, I like because of X, then you're not wanting to know
That's
me.
Mhm.
You've got this sort of like, whoo, this is a thing that turns you on, and that quality you think I have. And I think that often will keep you from being yourself if you allow it.
Very nice. Very, very well put. I definitely like how you added that in. So, basically for me, just gonna cut right into it myself. Obviously, I've seen and witnessed the fetishized attention grow more and more each day. Being Latino, being Filipino, being trans, being an entertainer, you have all these sexual stigmas on how, like Michelle, you put how we're supposed to behave. For a lot of the individuals who kind of come who who seek me out for the transgender aspect mostly have the adult industry as a reference. And a lot of those girls, as much as they have their own journey, they go through it differently. It's not how I'm perceived. So when they start seeing that I'm a very unique lady, and I'm emphasize LADY because there's no way that anybody can be a woman, but it takes great skill to be a lady and to be able to hold your own, no matter what happens. And when they see that it's not like the adult industry girls, they get upset. When they see the entertainer aspect, I'm supposed to cater to them and give them whatever they want, and they'll get it because that's how life has made it perceived. Nope, it doesn't happen that way. Um, Definitely being Latino, I have a loud mouth. Obviously, we all know this because it just I can't be quiet sometimes, and even when I try to whisper, it doesn't come out as a whisper. But breaking a lot of these social norms that are placed on us, and just for being us, we are trying to have validation and admiration that we're doing it right. That we always have to. I mean, society has kind of trained us to always look for those validations in some way, shape, or form. Um, so when we get a little bit of that admiration, it's hard to see it transition until it's too late of that fetishized attention. So I like to always keep abreast about who's around, know your surrounding areas and things of that nature. Um, so when you're also being in a surrounded nature, you also have to think about like our next question. Um, how did that make you feel, and or change how you perceive yourself versus how the world may view you? I'll lead some. So definitely has contributed to a lot of my depressionary states. Being bipolar depressive does have huh, its ups and downs, no pun intended. But I guess how does it make you feel kind of depends on whether I was having a an up moment or a downhill moment. And then how to perceive myself, I've always questioned my presence. I've started hormone therapy when I was 22 years old, and then I stopped because I was attracted to a boy and we started talking, and we had an argument, and he told me that he could never date somebody who would be half and half. So me having that momentary lapse of concerning about who I'm around, I stopped my hormones and started being back to a masculine presenting. I don't know how well masculine I want to put, but it was more masculine than what I am now. um, More masculine put, and I realized that I shouldn't have done that. And now finding and honing on to myself, I'm able to really tell the world to fuck off. I don't care how you perceive me. Um, but
Mhm.
I know that when I perceive myself, I have to hold myself to this standard of mine, nobody else's. Um, that the negative is going to happen, and you'll have a positive attention that will turn sour, and the best way to handle it is to walk through it. The only way to get through the other side of the storm is to go through the eye. So that's how I do it. But with that being said, Lee, you want to follow up with that? How did that situation ever make you feel, and did it change your perception of yourself and how the world may view you?
Um, yeah, I mean, how I perceive myself, I've always been a, quote unquote tomboy, right? I mean, it's just who I am, just like you are a woman. And we know these things. We know these things at a very young age. Conformity is a different kind of thing, like trying to fit in, trying to make sure you're not getting bullied, trying to just survive a lot of things. And especially when your first bullies are people from your home, then you have a little harder time trying to relate. And then you spend most of your time trying to mask being whatever it is that they need. So, yeah, I feel misunderstood a lot. I feel like that because I'm masculine, I can't be a woman. Um, I feel like other women judge me, think that maybe I don't understand like going on shopping trips. Like my friends don't invite me to go on girls trips to shopping and stuff like that. Um, And so I feel that I'm misunderstood in that concept of it, but I'm me and I love me and most of the time. Okay, 60, 40. One of those days. It depends on the day you ask me. But I no, I don't feel like I need to change for anybody. This is who I am. This is my look. This is what I look like. This is the I get told all the time, this is my spacesuit. So the spacesuit is just the spacesuit. What you get to see, who I am as a person, is what you really need to be hanging out with. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. Michelle?
Well, I think I'm going to take it a little different way.
Absolutely.
I told you about the Asian woman that I met. And once there was an award ceremony, and I had nominated a friend of mine. And notice I said a friend of mine. And someone came up to me and said, well, she's trans. I'm going like, she's a friend of mine. And they said, well, she hasn't always been a good girl. And what those two things and other things have made me be aware. I don't care of who I am, and that I have to call them on that and realize that if they say that about someone who they perceive as different, who doesn't behave the way that they want, at some level they're thinking that about me. So what it, I want the world to view me as someone, if I say Leah's my friend, Tamia's my friend, Kenisha's my friend, boom, full stop, and that I accept you as you are, as I expect you to. And so to me, it made me really think about the circles I was
Mm.
in, the people I were in, the people who said that they were allies and that they were all for equality, but then in their mind, when they thought it was safe, that they could say that in front of me and thought I wouldn't say anything. So I think that that's how it has changed the way that I demand the world view me, not as someone who's like, oh, well, you can say this about so and so, and I'm not going to go like, okay, fine, and not say that I'm not going to call you on your BS. And so that's how I take that.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Tanisha? Uh-oh, you moved it, girl. What's going on?
My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeses.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry I was muted. Um, I would say that that changed me a little bit in an aspect of I feel like my situation made me a little tougher. It made me be a little more aware of not that I wasn't already aware of my surroundings, but it just made me a little more aware of my surroundings. And I'm not saying that I'm supposed to treat other people differently, but I'm just mindful of how I talk to people and what I give to people. So it changed me in the aspect of I'm still a loving person. It's just how much I've learned to give, because sometimes I realize some you can give to different people the same you, but sometimes you can over give to one person and they take something so differently than someone else does, and then they perceive your relationship differently. So it changed my perspective on how much I give, how much energy that I exude when I'm around certain people. um and it just made me a little better of my surroundings, because it did get kind of weird, especially when they kept coming back to my job and it was kind of getting obvious. So when you're getting stalked and then people think, "Oh, you like that?" No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I do not. I do not like it. It's very annoying. It's very weird. It's very uncomfortable. It's something that I don't think anybody in life wants to go through. Nobody wants to be stalked. It's very inappropriate. It just made my situation made me very aware of my surroundings, and it made me realize what I should and how much I should give to people, because everybody doesn't perceive what you give to them the same way as others, which is sad, but I still give the same. I'm just learning how much to give and when to give.
Mhm.
So, like to kind of add on, one thing that I feel as though us as women we have to perceive a lot of things differently. And it's kind of like one of the gender roles that is kind of pushed on all of us at all of the ages that we come into our womanhood. Um, the the fact that we have to keep in mind of our masculine counterparts, um, and always, I guess, keep at bay that no matter what, they're the ones who always blame us because whether it's our skirts are too short, we gave them too much attention, or we're too masculine presenting, so they want to challenge that and also challenge their masculinity, see how macho they truly are. It's definitely been one of those eye opening moments, um, especially since we have the Cheeto in the White House. It has truly been one of those moments. Like I get scared when I'm in too much of a masculine energy, like a establishment. Like if I'm at a bar and I don't have people that I know, or if I don't see enough feminine energy to feel secure, I will genuinely like leave. Um, and it's sad that we have to kind of have that in our mind. Um, but that's, like I said, it's one of those unspoken things. So with that being said, what are some unspoken gender roles that you've learned growing up, and how have you unlearned and or challenged them? Michelle, do you care to lead on this one?
Okay, I think it's funny because I think it's not only that, but in fact, I was recently talking to someone in the lesbian community where they were like, are you going to be stud, femme, whatever. But I know that coming up, well, in one part, I wasn't that child, but my mother didn't put a lot of emphasis on all those girly things. In fact, the ones who I identified with were like, I had an aunt who someone was like, well, don't you want to go inside and clean? And she said, I want to be in my garden. If the house bothers you, go on in there and do it. So that there's that expectation that you would do, that you would do, the cooking, the cleaning, that you would take a quieter voice, if someone is doing it. And that's just not me. And I found that lately what is somewhat challenging sometimes in the LGBTQ community, particularly the lesbian community, where they're sort of like forming these things, like a very heteronormative, where some people who identify as more masculine identity, and I was talking to them, it's like, well, don't you cook? And I'm going like, I make great reservations, or don't you want to do this? And haven't you ever wanted to wear a white dress and get married? No, I mean, and so there are all those things. So to try and stand in your own and be yourself. If I want to wear a dress, fine. If I decide one day I want to wear a suit, that's okay. It's not breaking anything. It's me being me. But people look at you and expect, if you don't either take the heterosexual role where you're, Susie homemaker, and you want to cook and clean and look for a man, that's your whole emphasis is to find a man, or in the lesbian thing where your whole thing is to find, I guess, I guess a stud, I don't know. But anyhow, and get married and then live that same role, that's just not me. And it's been very, I think that I constantly find myself butting up against that, where people will have that and that expectation. And to say, be able to say to them, you know what, I've been taking care of myself all my life. I'm not looking for another half. And they don't expect women to be able to stand in that.
Very well. Yes, I definitely noticed that as well. Kanisha, you
Mhm.
want to share? You're muted, girl.
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to hit the mute button, y'all. We gonna get it together. Um, I would say something. I mean, I may just be 40, but I have grown up and there were definitely like gender roles. definitely a heterosexual, but I'm not the type that likes to wear dresses. I'm not the type that likes to wear skirts. And I grew up in church, so it was a thing. Like I was never really comfortable wearing them. It's just not my thing. Like I can't play right. Like I feel like I can't get down in the dirt and like dig, you got to sit right in church. You got to cross your legs cuz you can't see this. Well, if I wear pants or shorts, then I don't gotta worry about none of that. Like I can just go play. My knees gonna be dirty. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Um, Also, me being the oldest with my father, I'm his oldest daughter, I should say. My brother's older than me, and my brother is a part of the LGBTQ community. And I'm a tomboy, so I'm like learned how to change oil. You know what I mean? And um, it's just learn how to change tires, like all those things that are gender roles that people thought like you were supposed to do. And then when I entered into a relationship, it was like I tried to carry that on because that's what I learned. And now I'm realizing that that's not there. Those things like they really don't matter, if that makes sense, because male or female should be able to do them. And I'm a firm believer, even though I have two boys, that regardless of what the gender is, I teach my boys how to cook, I teach them how to wash clothes, I teach them how to take care of themselves. So when they are in a relationship, they're just an added piece to the puzzle. So they're able to be happy even when they're not with their partner. So if their partner were to get sick, my child still knows how to cook. They don't have to wait on their wife or whoever to cook for them. They know how to wash their clothes. Like they may think I'm getting on their nerves now, but the things that I'm teaching them as a mom, like I don't want my sons to depend on a woman to do things. I want them to do them on their own. And the same for me because my father did the same for me. So changing oil and, changing tires and learning how to just do different things like just digging in dirt and learning how to, it's okay to get dirty. Like I'm a firm believer that it's okay to get dirty. I'm not your typical heterosexual female. I love like I'm a tomboy. Like I love doing tomboyish things. Like it's fun to ride motorcycles and dig in the dirt and watch cars race and listen to cars rev up and do car shows and things of that nature. I like boxing and sports and different things. But the gender roles that I received, especially being perceived like, oh well, they think I'm bougie. I have no clue why people think I'm bougie, but I'm like, "Nah, don't do that." Like, no, like I probably know more than you do. Don't do that. Yeah, those male and female gender roles, I'm just glad and grateful that I was able to break them on my own.
Well, you're also breaking them, teaching your children different roles because the thing that I guess what I'm trying to have everybody bring attention to, I guess is the best way to describe it, not high ass. Um, Basically, not every woman's place or female's energy is supposed to be in the kitchen, just like every masculine energy. It doesn't have to be out fixing cars or, mowing the lawn or whatever. What, how you provide to society in your own personal way is the best thing you can do in whatever role. It doesn't have to be a gender role, it has to be a societal role. But Lee, do you want to?
Well, can I add something to Kanisha? You are so right because it is so important. I was telling people, I told you, I mentioned that I have a granddaughter, and for her first day of school, her parents aren't together, and her mother hadn't bothered to do anything, and she was upset. My son knows how to braid hair. He irons them clothes, he combed it and braided. It's not about gender, you know. And I sold my car, and this woman, she said, "Why do you have these things in the car?" I said, "Because you're not always going to be out there waiting for somebody, AAA or whatever. Sometimes you have to be able to handle it yourself."
Mhm.
And that's what I hear from you, and that's what we do.
Mhm.
Lee.
Yes, Lee.
I muted myself. Sorry. So I'm just like everybody else. I grew up thinking that women were soft and feminine and accommodating, and that was not me. I was not soft, uh, definitely not feminine, and I didn't accommodate a lot of people. So I challenged that role simply by existing in my life and existing, where I grew up. And I wore what I wanted to wear. I wasn't going to wear a dress or a skirt. I wanted to be able to climb trees and catch crawdads and fish. So I knew I was making people uncomfortable. I knew that my family was forcing me to wear these gender conforming things and put pink on and do those things that made me feel ashamed for not wanting to wear those things. I think that unlearning this behavior took a lot of time, and still I catch myself every once in a while, like if I put on like a pink polo shirt or something, like, you know, does this make me look too feminine
Mhm.
because I'm, masculine, and I don't really care for the color pink, but I do look good in the color pink, right? So I don't want to be like I'm not wearing pink because that doesn't make me look more masculine. So I I think I had to slowly unlearn feeling shame for not fitting in, right? So I didn't fit in. I still don't quite fit in to a lot of things. And I had to learn to be proud of myself when others couldn't see who I was and what I was trying to do. So now I see my butch identity. I claim dyke, whatever you want to call me. I celebrate it, and it's not a problem with me. It's a problem
Right.
with other
That's
people.
something that we always learn. We always learn that it's more. It has more to do about the other person calling you the name versus you answering to whatever you're answering to. All right. So basically, for me, um, I was the first of my generation. Born a boy, so it kind of goes in the tail already. You're the first boy of the generation in a Catholic religion household, not the strong Catholic
Mhm.
religion, but they claim Catholic. Um, and then on top of that, having Puerto Rican or Latin descent. Um, we weren't raised in Latin descent, but it was there. So we have all this surrounding, I guess, just little old me coming out, and it's already pressure when I'm 3 years old being told that I can't play with Barbies. Um, Pressured in 5 years old when I'm running around in my mother's heels and playing in her dresses and playing in her makeup. Um, I don't wasn't noticing the gender roles that they were talking about, or that it wasn't what other little boys do. Because quite frankly, I didn't know I was a boy. You couldn't tell me shit. I mean, I I was rolling around with the girls all day long. In Head Start, we play house. I was throwing on wigs. I was in the kitchen. I was doing the wifely duties. Um, but in those gender roles is kind of how I found out that it was easy for me to be more feminine on the girlier side of things. It just came more natural for me. Um, so then growing up, that definitely made people uncomfortable, and that's not how little boys are supposed to be. You're supposed to go out and like girls and blah 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 blah. And come to find out, it's not really that I have to like girls. It's the fact that you don't like boys or you don't like who you are. So you're pushing whatever you want on me to make yourself comfortable, and it's something we definitely have to unlearn as any gender. Stop making other people comfortable for their sake, because at the end of the day, they'll turn their back and they will forget whatever happened unless it benefits them in some of the story. Um, so I think as we progress in today's society, it's showing that less and less of the old gender roles that were, I guess, on our generation of the woman in the kitchen and you know guys on the cars and the lawn. Um, Definitely are getting broken more and more with everybody being so openly fluid with their gender. So I think as long as we have people like us who constantly challenge, or Kanisha and Michelle, who you teach your children how to how to move forward and be a human being first. I think it's one of those biggest things that we can do to kind of help break down those gender norms, and gender role conformities. Um, but as we kind of learn about gender conforming roles, we have other roles that we identify with, which kind of leads us into our next question of, may you share a moment where your gender identity conflicted with another part of your other identities, um, race, religion, social class, sexuality, whatever comes to mind. Lee, do you want to go ahead and get that started for us?
Sure. Believe it or not, it's queer spaces for me. I feel
Huh.
like um, I feel like my masculinity is misunderstood. Like, I've had to explain what kind of woman I am. You know, I think that people see studs or butches or dykes and they think one thing, right? That we want to be a man, or we are, this way sexually. And I hated having to explain what kind of woman I was to other women. And in straight spaces, I've always felt like I'm too much, that I'm too loud, too masculine. I just am too much for them to handle. And I think the tension on both sides, like, you know, wh- as I was growing up, trying to figure out my gender was one thing. Knowing that I was a lesbian and trying to fit into a mold. I mean, I'm from the age where butches dated lipstick lesbians, and there was femmes with you know dykes, and it just there was like all these labels that I didn't want to be like. To me, a dyke was a man, just a woman, and it had such a negative connotation to it. What I've realized is, like, if you look up dyke, it's actually a woman who defends other women, who stands up. She was, the advocate, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not mad at that side of it, but I don't want people thinking I'm a man. So it forced me to shape myself to either conform to the way that everybody expected me to behave and expected me to look and identify. And then it also made me decide where my comfort level was as well as a whole person. So I don't I don't conflict with myself anymore. I just refuse to. And I believe that all the intersections in my life, like I don't look African American, but I'm African American. I don't look Latina, but I'm 42%. I know, right? But
I, I
I got in
especially
looks, I got
okay.
all the Caucasian, like all the Caucasian, which is the least part of me. I'm even Asian. I'm like, come on, couldn't So I I have to live and walk and be a walking contradiction all the time. My intersectionality is not visible. All they see is a dike. Everything else I'm fighting for to be like, I'm also this. And I think I'm unique and I love myself for my uniqueness.
Yes, we do too, Lee.
Mm,
Michelle.
yes. you know, um, I get it. I exactly what Lee was saying, but I have always been. It seemed like at odds when we were kids. We were the only black family in mostly white neighborhood. So we were black Catholics where most of my black friends weren't. When I went to school, we were like at the lower end, and I went to a school where there were a lot of social elite people. And so I mean, I'm just me, and I have made my way, and I just sort of show up. I recently had someone say, you don't look gay. I said, well, I look like me. You know, I was on a I was on a panel, and I was the only woman. And when I realized I was going to be the only woman, I showed up in my most flamboyant, bohemian look, because I'm going to be me and you're going to know I'm me. And like I said, it's always been a challenge. It's always been a battle. And I think that if I worry too much about trying to fit in with whichever way I go, I'd probably be depressed or crazy or whatever. So I just sort of show up, and you're going to like me or you're not. End of the day, I look in that mirror and I love me. I'm happy with me. So, hey, I can't. I haven't let it, and I just can't see nothing or anyone mattering that much to make me stop being me uniquely.
All right. Kanisha, is there a moment where your gender identity conflicts with another one of your other identities?
Um, I'm piggybacking a little bit off of Miss Michelle because I've always been me, regardless, point blank, period. I don't care where I'm at, what I'm doing. Um, one of the biggest things that I do get is people look at me and swear that I'm bougie for some reason, and I'm not. Um, and that's just not who I am. So people look at me like I can't complete certain tasks. Um, I get that I have health issues and I get that people want to help and I get that I have disabilities, but I'm looked at in certain situations. And I believe, like, in different parts of my life, it can happen throughout any day. Like Miss Michelle, it's just whatever setting I'm in, I feel like depending on the situation, there's a point where I'm almost judged at any given moment for my gender or my role or whatever my role I play. Like I can't complete the task. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. So that applies to, like, even with my health, my race, my me being a woman. Like it's just it. But like Michelle said, I'm just gonna be me, and you're gonna have to accept me for who I am and trust and believe. If anybody knows me, I will correct you and let you know that I can do those things, and do not degrade me and act like that I cannot, because I can do them, and I have no problem telling you that I can do those things. Just don't degrade me and act like I'm not capable of those things. I don't mind if you ask me, but don't immediately assume that I'm not capable of completing the task because I'm a woman or because I'm black or because I'm a black woman. Don't put the two together and act like just because I'm a black woman I'm not capable. That's not right. That's just not what we're going to do. I'm capable to do anything that anyone else is able to do, and I may be way more qualified than you. One of the things that I love that I can actually say about the cannabis industry is I am a black woman who actually knows cannabinoids. I know terpenes, and I'm able to help you and guide you holistically on that journey with benefits. So, breaking that stigma and breaking those norms and say, hey, I'm a black woman in the cannabis industry, breaking stigmas, breaking norms, and letting you guys know that, hey, like, I can do this, like, and I'm probably better than the next man that you think that's not. So don't judge. I'm really on Miss Michelle's boat. Like, I am who I am. Love me, or you can love me or not, and I don't care. It is who it is. I am who I am, and you're gonna get what you get.
Okay. So, um, kind of feel like maybe the question may have been misunderstood. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my part, try to maybe help bring us back on track. Um, so when I was asking about other identities, um, so with your religion, social class being like if you are upper class, middle class, or lower class, sexuality, gay, straight, bi, lesbian, um, those are other identities that make up who you are. And of course, live your life unapologetically because, you don't get another tomorrow. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Um, but the main thing that I was trying to gather was, for me, um, my gender identity is female, but growing up it was different because I identified on the female aspect, but everybody else perceived me as male. So then my sexuality had definitely changed because for if you were male and you liked other males, you were gay, homosexual. Um, so for you to be trans and like men, well, what are you? You really couldn't know. So finding out that me being trans female, I'm now identified as a heterosexual woman, but it confuses everybody because they hear my voice and they know my history. So then they automatically assume, well, you're gay because you were a guy, so you like guys, so then that makes you gay. No, the thing is I've always liked men. That has never altered. I've never had interest in the female persuasion, and me finding my identity as a trans woman has now put me into the the conflicting of am I gay or am I straight? That was like kind of the thing that I wanted to focus on, and it might be easier for me to answer that question because of my background, and a lot of these questions are focused on mostly the transgender aspect of living, and especially for me a female aspect because I feel, in my opinion, a lot of the transgender uh, community is getting targeted. I don't know if you ladies have seen about one of the senators saying that the LG needs to drop the T, that the gay, lesbian, and bisexual need to drop the transgendered and transsexuals because of bills and things that it was conflicting in the bathroom, all that. So that was like my focus on that one question. Um, but kind of leads us into a next question. Have any of your other various identities shaped the way you have experienced or even resisted gender norms? I'll answer this just to kind of help lead way. Um, so with the various identities that I do have of being entertainer, being Latina and Asian, being trans, um, all of them have definitely reshaped my viewpoint on how I perceive conversations, on how I perceive certain mannerisms from individuals. Um, I've noticed that we as women, we like to uh, subtly apologize for stuff that we didn't even say because we automatically don't want to offend anybody else with something that we didn't say. And I've noticed that a lot of the masculine side, the men, don't really do that. They don't give a shit. So why is it that we have to always cater and mute what we say most of the time? And then if we don't, we're perceived as mad or we're perceived as angry, um, or too much for whatever the case might be. But one thing I wanted people to learn from my journey is that when you resist the gender norms and just accept who you want to be and just resist the things that you don't, and in a sense of whatever makes you positive, it makes you a better person. If it doesn't do anything better for you, it doesn't do anything for you at all, then just move it on. Just don't dwell on it. But anything that kind of helps your experiences and the way you view it, I hope you'll learn just by living everyday lives. But if I haven't lost y'all, Lee, do you want to go ahead and start off with your various identities shaping your experiences and or resistance to gender norms?
Um, I think my queerness alone has started a resistance, right? I'm masculine, so women are supposed to be, you know, all of the qualities we've listed tonight, soft and sweet. And I mean, wasn't it? There was like what a little girl's made of, sugar and spice and everything nice. And,
Yes.
you know, so I think I've been resistant to gender norms my entire life. And whether I wanted to or not, it's just what I was comfortable being. Walking into a room as a butch woman is already a disruption to what everyone expects is supposed to be the social norm. And I wear masculine attire and slacks and jackets. I wear suits. I don't wear dresses or skirts. Most of the time, you'll find me in shorts. I don't even like to wear the slacks. So let's not even pretend there. So in my way, resistance is my existence. Period. I don't have to do anything extra. I resist to refuse to apologize for my masculinity. I will mentor young folk and making sure that they feel comfortable being their authentic selves. And that too is a resistance. And by showing that there are different ways to be a woman, there are different ways to be masculine, different ways to be feminine. I think that in itself is a resistance. I will continue to exist. Therefore, I will continue to resist.
Amen. I like that. Kanisha, any of your various identities shape the way you've experienced or resisted gender norms?
I would definitely say one of my identities, and I would view my health as one of my identities as well, because I would be considered disabled. I would say the way that the masculine side of me, like how I view things, how I move, like I'm the type of person that I don't want help. I'm very resistant when it comes to um, wanting someone to like cater to me in a way, if that makes sense. Like I'm like, nah, I got it. I can do it. Like I'm one of those people. Like whenever I go somewhere and I'm playing my sound bowls, and I have like, if I have the one with two bags, I'll have like two bags in my hand, a book bag on my back, and then I have my yoga mat and my rain stick together. And they're like, "You need some help?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. Like I'm good." And they're like, "You're sure?" And this is like, man, I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." They're like, "I'll get the door." I'm like, "I'm good. I got it." So I feel like some of the things that I do that are like even like it's fine. I can change my tire. Like I may ask for help, but if I really can't get to it, but there's certain things that I feel like that have shaped me and changed me in a way to make me resist from wanting help. And I would say from the gender norms, and I would say sometimes for me, um, with my health and my disabilities, I would say sometimes I do need to give just a tad sometimes because I know I'm overexerting a little much. But I feel like the more masculine side of me pushes me to just be like, nah, I got it. Nah, I got it. Because that's one of those gender norms. Like, men are supposed to open the door. Men are supposed to carry things. Men are supposed to change the tires. Like, men are supposed to do certain masculine things. But those are all the things that, like, washing my own car, like, do all those kind of things are me. Like, I don't mind doing those things. It's like, nah, I got it. I'm good. But now I'm just now realizing that it's okay to step back and allow those things to happen. So with those gender norms for me, I would say one of my one of my roles, which would be my health in my life, the resistance part of me, like, no, I got it. I need to step back a little bit, and it's okay. Like it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. I need to learn that it's okay.
Okay. Michelle.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this. And you talked about gender norms. And, we still fall into gender norms. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. I am unapologetically a Black queer woman. I I would say, if you say, where do I identify, it'd be lesbian. However, I dated for a while a beautiful trans woman who also identified as a lesbian. People were like, how can you two be together? Woman, woman, that's it.
Hmm.
Raising my son, I was told, how are you going to raise him to be a man when you're a woman who likes women? And so, like I said, he knows how, like Kanisha said, he knows how to wash, he knows how to cook. I love watching him iron his daughter's little uniforms for school. He can braid her hair. But what I have tried to do is live my life as a person and not have those norms. I'm not, well, some people would say, well, this is what a woman, the norm of what a woman or what they're expecting, like the softness. I can be soft, but sometimes I can be just the opposite. you're supposed to be not have a strong opinion. I have very strong opinions. I stand my own in wherever it is. So I think that after a while, the role to me is to get away from gender norms and getting to be human. We always say that love is love, and love is love, whether it's for in your relationship, whether it's how you love your children and raise them to be productive human beings. That's what it is. So I tend to try to stay away. I have rebelled, not really rebelled. I'm just like, okay, I can do all those things in a car. I can take care of myself if I'm out there. I'm not waiting for somebody. I don't have to jump out and say, let me open the door for you. And I'll let someone open the door for me, but I don't sit there and do that. I think that I take care of me. And so to sort of get away from those gender norms, if you're a woman who loves women, Tamia, you're a woman who loves men. You're a woman. Lee, woman. Kanisha, woman. We are humans first. And so sometimes when I hit a gender norm, because I have railed against it all my life, it just so still just is like, what is that? Fingernails on the
Of course.
blackboard. It still is like that for me.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, real quick, so we're gonna go back to a question. We're gonna have the voice of God kind of come over the intercom real quick. So, Peach, in the comments, our personal comments was saying that would like to answer a question. What was the question that you want to answer, and then I guess go ahead and answer it.
I think it was the one where you guys was talking about how you were raised, and I found it very interesting because I wasn't raised to have any gender roles. I had boy clothing, girl clothing, boy has trucks, He
So the
Man,
question uh,
Barbie dolls. I
was what are the unspoken gender roles you learned growing up, and how have you unlearned or challenged that? Is that the question you're talking about?
no, it was the one that was when you asked about how people were raised. Oh, okay, yep, that's the one.
Okay.
I wasn't really raised to have gender roles, I guess.
Okay.
And if I had to say how I was raised, I felt like my grandfather was raising me to be the head of my house, which is normally
Mhm.
not feminine.
Mm.
So I don't know. So when I heard the question, I said that's interesting. Everybody was raised to be little girls, and I was just raised to grow up and know how to do it all and to decide where you wanted to be. If you want to be feminine or masculine. But I'm probably even guessing maybe they already knew that I was going to be a part of the community. They just didn't know how I was going to present.
Well, quite frankly, you kind of adding on to that, a lot of ethnic communities don't really have like um I guess they're not adamant about the gender roles. They
Mhm.
welcome the open sexuality and sexual fluidity. Um, the Hawaiian culture, they have those, and Native American cultures have those of two spirits. So I'm pretty sure the African American culture would all have the same. Um, so you were definitely raised to carry on the family, not so much carry on the gender roles.
Well,
I definitely see
I mean,
thriving.
I think that Peach and I are of a generation to where to be black, it wasn't about being able to be a little girl that much. You had to learn how to survive.
Mhm.
So it wasn't about oh well. I mean, like there were certain things that they expected you to do, but I agree with you. I mean, we went out there. We did what was necessary because that was about how are you going to grow up, survive the system, and be strong in your family. If a family was really important. So I get exactly what you're talking about, Peach.
Mm.
Yeah. And the last question that you asked to Nia, about resisting the gender roles. I feel like I have to resist it more within the community than outside of it,
You
Hmm.
know,
which is
I
so bizarre. Why would you even want to bring heteronormative things into our community? I'm just
Thank you.
you
confused about it.
I've asked the gay community. A lot of people in Rehoboth always say there's no gay bars anymore. Where are the gay spots? It's all the families. It's what the gays wanted. The gays wanted to have that family-oriented life. They wanted to have the masculine role, the feminine role, the children, the white picket fence, the red painted door. They wanted all of that. So here they are, and I have noticed that becoming into the community, I've I've what's the word I'm looking for? I've segregated myself because you know there's not really much of a trans community in Delaware, and the trans community that I do know of, I don't click well with. So then I go with the gays, and the gays get on my nerves because of their high fat and all that other mess. So I the community has divided us, and I don't know why. We're supposed to be all inclusive, and yet I feel more divided being a part of this community. It's just, you know,
Well,
but
And then
you
the
know,
other question, oh, go
you're
ahead.
right. And having been part of the fight for marriage equality nationwide, I am so disappointed in some ways. It's like, okay, so all those years we couldn't, and we made a way. You know what I mean? We made our way out of nowhere. We had families, we had relationships. Then we got marriage equality, and now we're trying to be, like the
every other
Cosby's, everything else. Who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to do that? And to me, I had hoped that we would break the paradigm and do it. I think that when I ta- and this is my moment for a soapbox. It has bothered me particularly what I see happen to the trans community because I have friends who are trans, and what they have shown me is about being human and about being parents. I often tell people, like, I have a friend, and he talked about when he's a trans man, when his daughter in the second grade said, "Daddy, you don't have to hold my hand anymore. I can go in school by myself." I got that. You know, I there's families and parents, and I had thought that this would help us all take a step forward, and instead, we're becoming little gay heterosexuals. Now I'm off my soapbox.
no, I definitely get that.
That
But
feticide question I wanted to answer too. And maybe Michelle might agree, maybe Lee. Do you feel like your heterosexual friends kind of fetishize you? Like I do. I feel like I am the friend that you would come and ask the questions, but I'm also that friend that if it was dark one night and you wanted to try something, I would be that safe bet.
where was this response for the first question?
So, and Kanisha, you don't seem to be that way, so I thank you. But I do feel like it's not necessarily our community; it be our heterosexual friends or allies that hold on to us for those reasons. Like you're in my back pocket, for that
One day I
rain.
might want to try it. Hey,
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
no, no,
Those by individuals that are bi now and gay later kind of ordeal.
yeah, one. If I was ever gonna try it, girl, you the one. No,
yeah,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yep, I get that. Like if I was a lesbian, Lee, you would be that person. If I could try it, Lee, you would be that person. And I'm like,
Uh,
I'm not a trial. I mean, I'm not. I'm not a perfume. I'm not. You're not grabbing me off the shelf, doing a couple of pumps and walking away to see if that's the thing.
sure.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm not questioning who I am, and
Weird.
great, great that
And
I
yet,
am the type of man,
mhm,
woman that you would have sex with. Just go have sex with a man.
Our
I'm just being
sexuality is not a good time. It's not for
this is
entertainment
weird.
purposes. Okay, that's just it. You want to try it, go on Tinder, find you somebody who wants to,
Fuck
but
with that.
I am not for entertainment or teaching purposes.
Look, I'm good at what I do. I
I,
break the bitch.
I'm,
Break the bitch.
But
Don't come
listen,
at
y'all
me.
got me over here cracking up. I'm first and foremost, I love I just love people, and I'm seriously confused. I'm listening to you guys, which is, listening to you conversate. I don't go through that, but I am really super confused on why people would do that. Because if anybody in the LGBTQ community knows, I love you for who you are. I'm not keeping
Mm-hmm.
people on a soapbox. I'm not keeping you
no,
under my
here's
wing
the thing,
to
like,
try. I'm
Mm-mm.
like I'm really confused because for me, like I'm listening to you. So for me, this is a thing listening to you guys speak because I don't hear these things because I'm not in those particular
right,
conversations until now. So listening to this, because me being the person that I am, and like I said, if you know me, I love you for who you are as a person. There's no need of me keeping you under my wing to use you. That's not love. That's not a true friend. That's not a
Mm-mm.
true ally. Me as a person, I always hashtag I'm your favorite ally because I'm gonna love you regardless. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I don't like I'm literally over here conflicted. I'm confused on why
so
someone would use someone to do
so with
those things.
a lot of
I don't
people that
understand
have
why.
that mentality of putting us on the back shelf or wanting to try us are those individuals who fall in the. This is my personal opinion and experiences. Commenting on this, by the way. Those are the individuals that have fallen into their gender norms because they have decided not to fight them, and then they see us living and experiencing life to the fullest and enjoying it. They
And they
want a
want to
little
do it
piece of that
too.
happiness, huh?
They want to do it too.
Basically, it's not even that
Okay.
they do it, but they want that happiness. They see that we have broken what everybody has told us to do, and like because of we being us unapologetically, they think, oh, well, let me get a slice of that happiness too. No, baby, I'm not a piece of pie. This ain't no afternoon delight. Ain't happening. So that's
But often those who want to try it are experimenting. I am not saying that I could not meet someone who has been living a straight existence and we connect on a level and have real love and go that way. But there are some people, it's just like, well, you know what? I've had a black man, I've had an Asian man, I've
Mm.
had this. Oh, let me try a lesbian.
Oh my god.
I mean, and there are some people who are literally that shallow. But I mean, I'm not, and I know that some people would say I'd never go out with a straight person. Um, I would be cautious about it to find out why. What's the attraction? What is it? And it has to be more than just I want to try some some of that lesbian love. You know.
Mm. This is different for me. I'm loving this conversation because I love learning. So I'm able to understand people and your own personal thoughts and beliefs and how I am able to just not necessarily view people, but I can understand where you're coming from and a point of view and understand where your thought process is coming from. So if you're saying my feelings are hurt, or if I'm even when I'm dealing with my LGBTQ community in with the youth sector, since I deal with the youth a lot, like I can understand where they're coming from, and it also helps me to be able to help them. Like, oh, okay, I can identify certain things that they may not be knowing what's going on, but they're trying to figure out why they have this friend that's stuck up there behind, but they're, like trying to figure out why because I have seen this with me mentoring some kids. Like there was this one girl, she has a friend that was LGBTQ, but she literally it's been a couple of instances, but she had a friend and they were, kind of having an issue. And I can see now from listening to you guys where one of the problems was probably coming from, that I can now identify, that I could see now looking at the other child. They were struggling with themselves, trying to find themselves. And this other child was very happy within themselves, within their gender, whatever they chose to be. And the other person was almost kind of envious. And it was like, hey, But thank y'all because that really just brought something to light for me because that just made me kind of.
What
I,
happened? What?
I
Am-
see you. You here? You're
oh,
here.
is that
We got
connection?
you.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we're gonna keep this going on. Two more questions left, and then I pretty much
Oh, we lost her.
wait.
Oh, she's
What
back.
is going on? I don't know what's going on. I truly don't.
Hmm. Okay, I can't hear anybody.
I think she
Oh,
is
my
frozen.
bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear you now.
I
Okay,
think
I don't see
so.
her, but
I
I'm
don't.
a. We gonna what we gonna do as queens is I feel like we should pick up where she left off until she gets back.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All
so
right.
as queens, I feel like let's pick up where Tamia left off. I think the next question was, um, how do you balance the need to
Let's
survive
see.
in a system? Is that right? Am I right, y'all?
Yep.
Okay, how do you balance the need to survive in a system that enforces gender norms with the desire to disrupt it? Okay, how do you balance the need to survive in a system that enforces gender norms with a desire to disrupt it? Who wants to go first since we're covering for Tamia?
I mean, I'll do it.
All
Um,
right.
I think survival and disruption coexist, right?
Am I here? Jesus
Um,
Christ. Hi.
Yes, she
Hey
is.
Okay.
girl, we had your
Uh,
back. We had your back. We had your back.
I don't
Okay.
know what was going on with that, but it was just giving me the time of just, uh,
We had your
anyway.
Hmm.
So, back to our regular scheduled program.
back. Okay.
So as we were talking about, you know, learning and breaking gender norms, the question reads, how,
Dang, here we go again. All right.
here we go. Oh my God.
You keep flipping off. You want me
I
to ask
don't,
the question?
I got, how do you, how do you balance the need to survive in a system that enforces gender norms with the desire to disrupt it? And the meaning for this question basically is, you know, you have everybody who wants
She's gone.
She
and
to
don't
she's
have
want
their
back.
cake and
You
their
on
eating.
Wi-Fi?
somebody don't want to be her friend today. They don't want to be her friend.
It don't want to work for me today at all.
They don't want to be her friend. It's being mean.
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
It's doing technology roles. It's not.
It is definitely popping her in and out. So I
It
guess
is
When technology strikes.
right.
it's
Technology
the
trying
Is
technology trying to play its gender role over here, trying to be doing its own thing.
all
Messing.
right.
Mercury's in retrograde.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll ask the question. Wait a minute,
Okay,
there she is.
it's trying.
It's
Are you
trying like
back?
a little train that could. Let
We
all right,
got you
all right.
now.
So the
Oh yeah, she got to come off Wi-Fi or something.
She was fine up until now. Yo,
Yeah,
Jay, stop.
Jay is over there acting up.
Jay
All
is
right,
crazy.
so let's try one more time. Are you on Wi-Fi, Tamia?
I was now it's not coming on.
Okay, try it without it and see what happens.
All right,
Jay got
So,
me cracking up in the comments, y'all.
I'm sure.
Hmm.
oh, you hanging in there so you can ask your question.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if that works. All right. Okay. So the point of this question is you have a lot of
Oh my God,
Really?
what is
Soon as she
happening?
started talking,
Someone doesn't want y'all to answer this question, apparently.
we about to beat all the odds.
Yeah,
look.
this
I'm telling you
question.
right now. So basically, everybody wants to have their Kate and their Edith too. Basically, like they want to have experiences, live their life of sin, as they so well put. So, we have a borderline social.
What?
Yo, I don't understand what's going on. It's okay.
I don't either.
She was perfectly fine all this whole entire time.
I
Okay.
know.
This
Oh,
is getting.
back, not back.
I'm kind of here ish. We'll see.
You want me to ask the question and let
See if
them
that works.
answer it?
Well, she had asked the question. Um,
Okay.
the
He said yes.
Okay,
Look,
so go ahead.
okay.
So do
I'm
you want
dead.
us, one of us, why don't we try to answer what we think she heard? And then you can sort of, you know how before Tamia, you sort of like got us back on track if we got too far off? How's that sound?
She's not in. Lee might
she's
as
not
well
even
answer
here.
the question.
Okay, well, Lee.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
so
Lee.
I'm gonna do this kind of quick, just so
Okay.
that you know. But I think that survival and disruption can coexist. Sometimes survival means blending in enough to not put yourself in danger, right? In this day and age and political climate and the system that's here, um, disruption is just walking down the street, right? Like being your authentic self, walking down the street, living your full truth, daring to exist without shrinking into yourself. Like, some things that are very obvious when you look at somebody. So for me, balancing how I choose those battles is what protects me, the people around me, my peace, and it also helps me decide when I'm kicking doors down. So I think that survival looks different to a lot of people. My survival is that I always know where I'm going, who's going to be around there, what neighborhoods I'm going to be in, when I need to be disruptive and when I'm not going to be disruptive. Sometimes it's just peace, sometimes it's chaos. That's me. So, Miss
Right.
Michelle, you can go next.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to survive. I mean, so I think that I don't lead with hi, I'm Michelle, I'm gay. And when I want to be in safe spaces where I don't hide from it. I look for signals. Like if I go on a business's website and I see that people are using their pronouns, okay, I feel like it's a safer space. I believe that you should call people out when they're wrong, but I also try to call people in when it can help us take that next step up. You have to be just if you live authentically, you're going to be a little disruptive because somebody isn't going to be comfortable with you being the real you. So you be disruptive, you be safe. And when I know I'm in a place where it's possible that something might jump off, because I do a lot of things in public. And I know I went someplace once where it had been like the last place where they had had the Klan in Michigan. And I told him, I said, I have to be out of here before dark, and I want to see what's going on. So I don't, but I knew it was important for me to show up and say what I needed to say. But I was aware of where I was, aware of what could happen, and got my butt home before it was dark. But if you're living your truth, there's moments you're going to be disruptive in any space. Be safe with it, but live authentically. And I'm going to toss it over to Kanisha.
Hey, so I would say how I would balance the need to survive in a system that enforces gender norms with the desire to disrupt it. I'm gonna go back to I'm not for sure how Tamia meant this, but this question is kind of sorry, kind of hard. Not, I should say kind of harder for me to answer because I don't care if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I really. I don't. I don't. I don't care. Like I'm gonna do me regardless. If it's something that a gender norm is supposed to be done by a man, and I know I can do it, I'm gonna do it. Regardless of whether you think I can or not. I don't care if you're gonna look at me funny. I'm gonna do it. You may be shocked that I could do it. That's not my fault. So to me, that's disrupting you because I didn't tell you to degrade me and think that I couldn't. That's not my fault that you don't think that I can. The gender norms when it comes to females doing certain things and being in certain spaces, and I know with me and myself where I do a lot of things in the community, it's probably some places people think that I shouldn't be as a woman or as a black woman. It's I don't care if that make like I really I don't care. Like if I don't really know. I'm hoping I'm answering this question right because when it comes to disrupting gender norms and people doing certain things and us being disruptive when you're breaking it, like, oh, you're not supposed to do that, like Miss Michelle said earlier, like opening doors. I'm not waiting for nobody to open the door for me. I'm gonna open the door. If you open the door for me, I appreciate it, thank you, but I'm not waiting for you to open my door. Like, I'm not waiting for you to do certain things. I've learned a long time ago with past situations and relationships, it's like those things don't need to be waited on. And that goes back to self love when it comes to a gender norm. If you love yourself for who you are, you don't have to appease other people. And I'm
Mhm.
not trying to appease other people. I'm just trying to live my life and be me authentically, just like Miss Michelle said. Like, that's who I am as a person. So either you love me or you don't. My What I do is what I do, whether you think it's a male role, a female role, or LG. I don't care. I'm gonna do me.
Agreed. I think that's great. I will say that I am a huge fan and proponent of opening the doors for everyone, both men and women. I find that, like, if you're at Wawa and you hold the door open for a dude, they just kind of look at you for a second, but then they like smile and like, that was kind of cool that somebody held that door open. And I get a lot of thank yous. And I like to see those kinds of things. But I've also been shunned by women who are like, why you open the door for me? And I'm like, I don't know. I just did, So yeah, I'm with you. But disruption, I think, happens whether we're intending it to or not. Anytime we're
Mhm.
being our
I think
authentic
that our
selves. So
disruption
I
definitely
mean,
comes
it's just how
from
it goes.
the assumption.
Mhm.
It
And
comes
you,
from the assumption of people thinking, oh, like when women get mad that a man's not holding the door. I get that's what we were taught, and that's what people were taught. But if a man doesn't hold the door for you, I'm cool. Long as you don't slam the door in my face. Like, I mean,
mhm,
you
mhm.
can at least just be respectful is all I'm asking, to make sure the door doesn't slam in my face. Like, okay, I was about to hold the door. All I'm asking for is a little bit of respect, a little bit of, just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
answer the question.
I think I'm more inclined to. I believe that, and you know that part of respect where and helping, like if it's an elder, of course I am. If it's someone I see who's struggling with like a multiple bags or even a bunch of kids, I'm going to help them. But to me, basically, if someone is disrupted by my being there or I don't fit their gender norms, that's really their problem, not mine.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm
Definitely
gonna
Facts.
agreed.
answer it too. Can y'all hear me? I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
answer.
We
All
can.
right. So, from my perspective of the question, um, what did she say?
Can
How do
you
you
raise your volume just a little bit? Okay.
Yeah, I'm having a
can you hear me
hard
now?
time.
Is it good?
No, not really.
Is it low
That's
or
better.
okay?
It's getting better.
So, how do you balance the need to survive in a system that enforces gender norms? Um, I this is just my opinion. The balance comes in for me where I am private in the spaces I need to be private about myself, and then I get more personal and vocal about the who I am with the people I want to share myself with, if that makes sense for Tania. There are certain spaces you can't authentically be yourself, even though you want to be. I think that comes with gauging the situation. If it's a red situation where it's absolutely dangerous, then no. But in the case of Tamia and Lee, you guys don't have that option like that. Sometimes y'all just have to avoid those spaces. Now, when it comes to the desire to disrupt it, just our sheer presence, showing up, um, being visible, and also forming organizations or joining organization is a great way to disrupt it. But the balance is you have to, being a part of this community, and I would imagine being trans, you are constantly assessing and reassessing spaces for safety. Being a masculine centered woman, I'm pretty surely you go out and you assess before you actually let yourself go and be comfortable in that space. So I think that's where the balance is. And that is my answer to that question.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to pick up on our last question. It says, may you speak on the contradictions of your gender presentation and the cultural expectations within family, faith, and or racial identities. You want to go first, Miss Michelle?
No.
All right, let me reread it too.
Yeah,
May
read it. Reread it again, please.
Okay. May you speak on the contradictions of your gender presentation and the cultural expectations within family, faith, and or racial identities.
Well, I think that with family, and actually, I think that there's contradictions. I know that there's things that uh, in my community where they look and they think of what you're supposed to be as a woman, and then and I'm not that. And I know that within family, like I know that there are some biological family members who with I am not that close because of how I identify. And I know some of them are confused. It's like, I don't know what in their mind they think that someone who's gay is lesbian is supposed to dress like, but I'm just me. But even like within my community, the LGBTQ community, like I said, the other day I had someone said, you don't look gay. Well, what does looking gay look like? I mean, we look all kinds of ways. So I think that there are contradictions of that. I have gone to places where I'm always comfortable, where I have had straight people assume that I must be a straight woman, even to the point where there's been like this almost like uh, where I felt unsafe. But like again, I recognize that the contradictions in their expectations are theirs, and so I don't try to put myself in positions to where I have to go and explain all this or do that or expect to get this kind of pushback. And if it is, I deal with it in a way where I protect me and get the heck out of there. But I just avoid those. If your mind is so narrow that you can only look at me and expect one thing or see one thing, and when I don't fit your little silo, you're going to get all bent out of shape. Then you know what? That's not a place for me to be because you don't. You're not in my league. You're not in my league. I have evolved above that, so I'm out of there. And I think that that's why I'm not a big proponent of churches because sometimes I've seen the harm that they have done, not only just to LGBTQ people, but to anyone who's different. And I think that if you've read any of the book, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I Jesus didn't need a Mercedes. Jesus rode in on an ass. Okay. He didn't have a church, so I just sort of go by those. And if I see that you're contradicting to that, that's your issue. And that's not a place for me.
All right, thank you, Miss Michelle. I'll go next then. I would say, as a heterosexual woman growing up in church, and I don't go to church anymore. I'm just a spiritual person. I believe in a higher power. Um, so for me now, what I received not being single is um like the things that I should be. One thing, like a gender norm, like a contradiction thing that I go through. I have, first and foremost, when it comes to this, and it comes like, I have some long behind legs. Like my leg, I'm not tall. I'm only 5'5" and a half, but my legs are long as all outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So me wearing certain shorts, right? I'm supposedly not attracting the right men. My thing is when it comes to that, or what I wear, how I'm viewed, like I'm a person. So when it comes to that, like even when it comes to like, it's like almost like a dress code I'm supposed to have as a woman, to attract the right people. And as I tell people all the time, it's not my fault that the man can't control what's in his pants because my
Mm,
legs are long. That's not my fault. You shouldn't view me by what I look like. Like that's not my fault. You should view me just like I teach my boys. You look at the female for who she is as a person. Her outer appearance is just that added value to your relationship or what you look at her as. Don't look at her for, oh, she's that, like she's not your uh she's not your you shouldn't look at her, everything should not be viewed as sexual, I should say. So when it comes to the gender part for me, I'm like I'm viewed as, oh, you shouldn't wear this, and I'm like, hold up, wait, what you mean? Like, and I'll post me being in the gym and I'm like, I'm not supposed to post me. It's not my fault that you can't control what's in your pants. It's not my fault that you're viewing me as a sexual object. Why
mm,
can't you view me as a person? So when it comes to being like the gender norm for that, it's like, why can't I wear what I want to wear without being looked at or viewed at as a sexual component to somebody? Like that part is very irritating to me. I don't care if I'm decided to wear a dress today. I don't care if my legs are out today. My shorts are gonna be short because I'm not wearing the ones to my knees because my legs are long. Like that's not what I'm comfortable in, and I'm not wearing clothes to appease to you. And then some other people would say, well, you're gonna have that problem. um well, that's not my fault though. Like they should change the way that they think. I shouldn't have to change the way that I dress because you're viewing me differently. That doesn't make sense to me. So that's one of the biggest gender things that I do go through as someone who's like, it's like I'm trying to attract people by how I dress because I guess females are supposed to have some kind of dress code. I don't understand. It's not my fault I'm built the way I'm built.
mm,
Well, I mean it is to a sense because I'm working on it, but it's not my fault you view me as a sexual object.
that part.
That that.
Your turn, Miss.
Um, so I guess with me, I live like 3,200 miles from my closest relative. I was never accepted in my family. I was the first queer child out, but I'm not the only queer child. But they accepted all the other queer children in the family, but just not me. So a lot of that has to do with church and how they view what the Bible says about homosexuality. And so you just can't
Mm,
fight ignorance. It just doesn't, I mean, it's different when you fight someone who just is uneducated. It's different fighting ignorance because ignorance is based in fear. And they don't want to unknow fear. Fear, I mean, let's be honest. You go to church, they teach you to fear God. And one thing, like I was so confused about church because I would go to Sunday school and you would teach me how Jesus loves all the children, and you would me that Jesus loved me. This I know because the Bible says so. And you would teach me not to hide my light, but I would go out into regular church with the adults and they would scream and holler about how much God hates us, how much God hates sin. Because my dad and them were just drunk the night before, came to church, was Pentecostal, so they got drunk in the spirit, but you're not allowed to drink. And so it was so confusing. And then, though the fact in that I was gay, so yeah, 100% there were expectations put on me. I was supposed to dress like a girl, walk like a girl, talk like a girl, not cut my hair, not show my skin, wear skirts that went all the way to my ankles, wear shirts that went all the way to my wrists, um, act like a lady, cross my legs, be the picture perfect, what a daughter is supposed to look like, what a woman should look like. And my masculine identity didn't match with those expectations. And so it created tension within my family. It was okay for me to be a tomboy but I needed to also be a little girl. And for a while, I tried to soften myself and compromise myself and wear the little flower shirts and the pink skirts and do all the things. But I eventually realized that that compromise was killing me. I was dying inside. I was broken. I was unmendable because I wasn't being who I was. And now I feel like, you know, it's a rebellion to be who I am. I'm rebelling against everything I was told to be as a child. And, I if that's what it has to be, if I have to be a walking rebellion, then I'm going to do that. Um, I feel like God loves me. If I have faith that I am loved, my family should be able to hold all of me and not parts of me. And I'm not fitting anybody's mold anymore. That's what Jello's for. You do Jello shots, but you don't mold me. So yeah, that's my radicalness, my person and my being.
All right. I guess I have to answer this. All
You
right.
get to turn
What's
yourself up.
the question?
Yes, ma'am. Answer.
Am I up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is it? May you speak on the contradictions of your gender presentation and the cultural expectation. Well, my gender presentation is a little deceptive, I guess, because I am a female that was born with a lot of testosterone, and I have some features that are masculine. But I do not have the male genitalia at the bottom. So I guess scientifically, you would probably consider me an intersex woman. So I guess that's where the contradiction is when it comes to gender presentation. I am both. Um, as far as cultural expectation, the expectation was just to have children. We don't
Mm,
care who is with, just continue the family bloodline. But I will say, with the racial piece of it, my grandparents would have preferred it to be with a black person. Not necessarily a fan, well, they weren't fans of dating outside of the race. So that's probably one of the cultural expectations. As far as faith, I'm a spiritual person, see things, hear things, know things, so that I don't have a contradiction with that. And with my family now, my family loves me to death. I don't have an issue with them. It's my chosen family that gives
mm.
me most of the hassle. And when you talk about gender presentation, when you come in front of me, you see a woman. So you expect me to be a femme, you expect me to be possibly a lesbian, to which I just explained to you, I'm neither or. I'm actually both, and I am pansexual. So it's my community that actually judged me. And being that I am pansexual, you know what the thought is. Oh, she's pan. She's going to sleep with everybody around the world. She can't have a stable relationship. She can't see, she wants everybody that walks in front of her. But I'm actually in a committed relationship and have been for 8 years. Isn't that something for a pansexual person? I have been told by the hetero community, um, I'm attracted to pots and pans because they didn't know the definition of pansexual. So, but I guess that's, the contradiction is more so from my chosen family than the heterosexual community. Um, and a lot of it, when it does come from the heterosexual community, are homophobes. So. But yeah, it's within my chosen family that gives me the most hassle, but I don't give a shit. I keep pushing and I am who I am.
You
And
know,
that is
Pete,
my answer.
what I think what's so funny is when I got pregnant out of wedlock, it was the worst thing that ever happened. You know, then when I came out, It was like they wanted to hide, that, like here she was screwing around in her teens and got pregnant. So then when I came out a little later, it was like this whole thing. How are you going to raise your son to be a man? And my father would bring a string of gentlemen to me. And he brought one who had it in his car. I'll never forget it. A sticker that said, ask, cash, or gas. No one rides for free. And it was like, okay, so it was horrible that I was a teen mother, but a man who would have that in his car is acceptable for you to want to hook your daughter with. So then I would have a level of respectability because I wouldn't be doing my lesbian thing. And so, like there are contradictions that you find within your family, and you go like, what? I'm not okay here, but I'm okay for this.
I agree with that, with society period as a whole, Miss Michelle. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I don't want to. I don't. Well, they're like, well, you don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want a female. No, I don't. But that don't mean that I gotta have this piece of this POS over here because you think that's gonna be better for me. Like I'm supposed to put up with this because
Mhm,
you feel like that I deserve that I should be with this. That doesn't make sense. And that even comes like even just like different males or different cultures. Like I'm attracted to black men. Like that's me, like that's what I like. So because I'm not attracted to others does not mean that I should be with one and one's better than like it's so weird, Miss Michelle, because I get exactly what you're saying. Like it's not right that just because I like one thing that you're gonna try to force me to like something else like it's better when really that's not better. Like that's
mhm,
it. That's not what I like. It's the person's soul that I'm interested in. You know what I mean? It's their mental I'm interested in. It's not, you know, it's different, Miss Michelle. I totally get that.
mhm.
So guys, Tamia is not here, but that was her last question. I think as queens we did really good to piggyback off what she wanted. I hope she's when she rewatches this that she's excited that we finished and we went through this. Um I'm grateful that we all actually stepped up and said, "Hey, let's finish this as queens. Let's finish
Mhm,
this for her."
mhm,
She was
mhm.
struggling, but we did it for her. And I don't know how to end this Peach, but yeah.
I
I
got
think
it.
Go ahead,
um,
Peach. Bring us
are
home.
are there any questions that you have for each other since we're all on the screen? I know we've all heard some interesting things tonight. Everybody was very transparent. I know you learned a lot. Is there any questions that you have for anybody on the panel?
I'm good.
Me too.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I want to, and I know she's not with us, but um, I always appreciate what Tamia has to say and how she
Mhm.
brought and how she's open with her life and how she identifies as a woman. I had someone recently say they didn't know how to deal with all of this and everything. And I thought about Tamia and some other of my trans sisters of color. And I said, you know what? It's about respect. If she
Mhm.
shows up and she says she is Tamia and she's using she and her and she tells you she's a woman, boom, that's it. The rest of it is not your business,
Mhm.
and it's not for you to understand. It's for her to feel good and right about it. And I appreciate her being a part of this panel each and every time.
I do too, Miss Michelle. I appreciate her being so open about her life because I know it's not easy. And knowing other people who are trans, I just appreciate them being so open and vulnerable to, be willing to speak out so other people can understand how they feel because we all have feelings and we all should be respected. And I definitely appreciate Tamia's experience.
Same.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Lee?
No, I really enjoy the podcast. I think that every time someone comes up, you get to see what's in their heart and being able to talk about the things that maybe is a little harder for them to talk about and be able to have the support of of having the conversation with people who aren't going to judge them for the questions that are going to be asked or for the answers that might be given. So I'm really appreciative of this.
Mhm.
All right. With that being said, join us next Monday for the recap. Latoya and I will be doing it. We had a ball with y'all. I hope y'all watched the last recap. We had a
Mhm.
ball. Always a joy to do it. But next Monday, join us at 8 p.m. for the recap of this show. Tamia, we love you. We held you down. We hope that you are okay. And we hope we answered these questions correctly. With that being said, good night, everybody. And we hope you keep tuning into Queens. Everybody, say goodbye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.